11. So it's been probably the craziest week of the semester so far, at least for me. I somehow came down with yet another cold, which I don't know how that keeps happening, but very stuffed up. I had a concert Tuesday night, like I said in my Tuesday vlog, and that always just adds another layer of stress for the week because that's a whole night gone that I can't do much in terms of homework. But the cool thing was, because of that, I didn't have band for the rest of the week, and so I got back a little bit of time between yesterday and today, which has been really, really great. So I made a lot of progress in terms of the paper and research that I'll tell you about in these coming sections. So first, I just want to make one last comment on Written on the Body. There was around page 180, it switched from past tense to present tense, and I wish we had had time to talk about that in class on Monday, but with presentations we didn't get around to talking about other stuff that wasn't in the presentations, and I thought that was a really subtle yet clever and effective thing for Winterson to do, or the narrator to do, to switch from present to past to present, and then that ties in with how the very last paragraph begins with "this is where the story starts." I just thought that was something that would have been worth discussing if we'd had the time for it, how that shift was made and what effect it had. But then starting the gathering, because this week was so hectic and I was pretty much doing things done to get them done, I feel like I don't have a good sense of the gathering yet, but hopefully by the time I do the reading for the next discussion, which is Monday, and between that and then working on the presentation of a passage for Monday and just getting more familiar with everything in it, I have a feeling I'll like it. But yeah, I just don't have an opinion yet. I don't know, I'm just kind of neutral towards it. So we'll see what happens by the middle and end of it, and then I'll have something to talk about next week with that. Working on paper 2 has been a lot more stressful than I would have imagined it would be, especially because I found paper 1 to be fun because I really liked Lolita, and I thought I had picked a really good passage for Lolita, and I had so much to say. And then with this one, I don't know if I just didn't pick the best passage, but I remember sitting down, I don't remember when, sometime last week, and it taking a half hour to go through all my notes and all of my underlined things to pick out what I wanted to talk about, and the one I settled on was the one I thought was the best, and then writing the paper's been so hard. So, I mean, I have a full page now. It's just as long as my last one, but I don't feel as proud of it. But I'm really hoping that, my revision from earlier in the week to the one I have today that I'm going to turn in is better. But yeah, hopefully paper 3 won't be as difficult. And then in terms of research progress, I think I've had a pretty good week for research, surprisingly, given how crazy and hectic it's been. I also have a 10-page essay for honor seminar due on Tuesday, so it's like everything's happening at once, which I know it's like that for everyone. But I said last week in my vlog I was having a hard time with Sons and Lovers. That has not changed, so I decided to put it on the back burner so that I wasn't wasting time, and last night I started As I Lay Dying, which is my 3rd book, because my project is honors, and I'm already more than halfway through. I'm on page 150. So I have a lot to say about this. It's not anything I expected. The only thing I'd ever been told about this book is that it's bad. That was by a friend who read it. So, I mean, it's pretty confusing. There are, so far, at least 12 different perspectives going on, so that's a lot to keep track of, and then just a lot of vernacular southern accents written out, and that makes things always just a little more difficult trying to interpret a dialect I'm not familiar with. But I think there's a lot that I'll have to say about this for my presentation. Um, this one and Into the Lighthouse the most, and Sons and Lovers I'm still a little on the fence about, but I read 2 articles this week. Well, I read 4, but 2 of them I decided aren't going to be helpful. So the 2 I decided will be helpful. One of them was about Sons and Lovers, and I think reading that is helpful, and now when I go back it'll help me out a little bit, but essentially this woman's argument was that yes, it's modernist in the sense that there's a lot going on in the content that's related to Freud and the Oedipus complex, which has been something I'm circling a lot in the book. Like, it's so obvious you can't miss it. And then relating that to Paul, one of the sons' homoerotic desire for another man. So a lot of psychoanalytic stuff that is characteristic of modernist novels, but her argument focused more on how the way Lawrence created his character's consciousness affected the form, and that's what makes it modernist. So it was a little confusing, but I have some passages I'm going to go back to in that article, and I think will be included in my presentation. And then to relate my secondary sources with my primary sources for the week, I read one about As I Lay Dying specifically, and it was called, I don't have it pulled up. It was called Irony of Southern Modernism, and I thought it was such a good article, mainly because it was super easy to read and follow, which was helpful because secondary readings are, in my opinion, a lot harder than the novels, a lot more technical and such. But this writer, brought up really great points about just the basics of modernism as a movement that were helpful because he put it in different words than the book I have on just modernism, and he related it a lot to industrialization and how modernity in America was very northern centric, and then how the South was really lagging far behind, but yet writers like Faulkner managed to write in a modernist style even before his region was modern. So it was a really cool read and really enlightening. And then by reading that, like, at the same time I'm reading this and like going back and forth, it is helping me with understanding this a little more too. So yeah, research has been good this week, and I feel like I have just a better sense of how long it takes me to get things done at this point, so I can better figure out how to allot my time in terms of reading secondary sources and primary sources, and I should be done with primary sources too very soon, so then it'll be all about putting it all together for the final product. So I hope everyone has a great weekend. I'll see you on Monday.